Right. Hi, folks. Welcome to the weekly SIG Autoscaling meeting on the 16th of October 2025. Let's start with the agenda. Norbert?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I see that we do not have Alice or Derek on board today because the main feedback was coming from them. Uh, so yeah, in general, I wanted to start further discussion about granular resource limits, and the most recurring uh, topic was interaction of minimum limits and buffers. And that's actually the question that I was also asking to myself, and we were discussing it internally. And that's a good point. And actually, it made me think about it more. And yeah, in general, it sounds about right that minimum limits are not very useful, considering that we'll have buffers, because configuring minimum as defined by resources doesn't really tell you anything about what you can schedule on those resources. So basically, if you set minimum CPU to some value, it can be quite useless. And I think the main goal we had is that cluster autoscaler already supports those cluster-wide minimum resources, and we just wanted to follow that path. But now, if we want to introduce a new API that should be useful also for Carpenter, then I guess cutting the minimum limits would be the way to go. And we could, instead of calling it something like autoscaling limit range, something like autoscaling resource quota. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't know, if you folks read the document I sent and you are aware of what's going on there. Do you have any opinions?
Right. To recap, the change from the first iteration is that we are getting rid of the minimum part of the limits on the assumption that buffers are a better way to achieve that side. And we're just keeping the max side, right?
Yep. Yeah, and basically, if we are keeping only the max size, then we can just call it something like resource quota, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
you
I
can
hope
ping.
that maybe Derek or
Yeah, you
Alice will
can
respond to
you
comments.
can ping the carpenter people on Slack if they're not here today. That also works.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything
And
else?
by the way,
Mhm.
I haven't updated the public document with the new proposal about that will cut the minimum resource limit. There is also only a discussion in the comments right now, so I'll probably do it tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. That
Yeah,
would be
so that
probably.
just FYI.
Hmm. So should be ready for review sometime tomorrow. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Right. Next, Miko. Reviews. Oh, that's on me. I am sorry. I've been so busy with the cap deadline. I have completely
Yeah.
forgot about this.
No, I get it. It's cool. Like the 8521 actually, I like that probably needs reviews from Jack and you because that one really hasn't gotten any reviews yet. But the 8583 one is like the cluster API specific changes and changing the cloud provider creation. 8583 has gotten several reviews, so I think it's in a much better place. 8520, I've done a lot of testing on it internally. That's the one that allows us to pass in all nodes in addition to the ready nodes into the node info processor, process function basically. But the reason I'm bringing it up again is because I'm dealing with some users from Red Hat. This is like a bug that's affecting their system, so I'd like to get it into the upstream, if possible.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do my reviews after this meeting.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think 8520 is probably ready to go. We had the notion prior that 8583 would wait for the unit test refactor, but maybe we don't have to wait for that, and I can incorporate. Am I remembering this right, Mike?
Yeah, 8583, I had to change because I needed to make the autoscaler options or the autoscaler
Yeah.
options. I needed to make it, I needed to make it exposed outside the module. That caused a circular dependency in the GPU test that was importing, just like a string value from the GCE
Yeah.
provider. But like it doesn't need to, right? Like we could just change it to any string and it seems like it would work.
Yes. Yeah. And if this
Yeah,
is blocking that other PR, I can quickly comment that test it out and remove the import because it's not testing anything anyway until we have.
Yeah, I would say let's land Mike's first, and then we can do the refactor unit
yeah,
test.
yeah,
Like,
sure. Yeah.
cool. So I think we should be able to land both of these today.
Yeah, it should be super easy to refactor it because like all I did was remove the import and just change it. I just put the string in place, right? So the test still works and everything.
And just for the public record, the only reason I'm predicting that we can do it today is because I've already reviewed both of these before. So.
Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, like last one, Jack.
Yeah, so I've been on the hook for a while, and I finally knocked out a initial draft of what at least I think a new release process could look like. If you can click through, Kuba,
Yes,
just to.
yes.
Thank you so much. So really, the key, the high level goal that I'd love to achieve for the community is more frequent patch releases. And then secondarily, more sort of just a document that we're open as a SIG to cutting emergency patch releases when there's an appropriate time. So I don't think we need like a whole bunch of language to do that. And we're probably already doing that absent the language. So it's not necessarily super important. But I do feel like in other projects, having the freedom that comes with more automation, so we still need better automation, but having the freedom to cut more regular patch releases just makes things easier in the long run. It avoids sort of build up and then sort of stressful situations where you want to get stuff out and then you haven't released in 2 months and you've forgotten how to do it, that kind of thing. So the TLDR here is to propose that we just cut a series of supported patch releases every time upstream Kubernetes does that. So that's typically every, 3 weeks, 4 weeks kind of thing. And then there's just also some language that suggests that, if there's a reason for an emergency patch release from code and cluster autoscaler itself, that we'll do that as well. It takes away the sort of schedule that folks have maintained over time. So I'm open to feedback if that's not appropriate. And yeah, if that's probably enough to start a conversation if anybody has thoughts.
Yeah, that's a good change. Like I think the only reason for the relative sparseness of the existing schedule is that it used to be a pretty toily manual process. How are we looking right now with all of the improvements you've already made?
It's a little better, not a lot better. So there's still a lot of improvement. So I can commit to managing this process for the coming months, as that's how I'm going to at least be able to come up with my own sense of how we can improve it, is just to give myself as much pain and suffering and then turn that into automation.
In that case, I definitely don't have any comments on this proposal.
No, but all just from the community side, hopefully this is clear. There's also a little additional language in there about, always use the latest cluster autoscaler release if you can, and match it to the equivalent minor Kubernetes version. I do think if we get into this, if we're really good at matching Kubernetes release cadence, then we also just want to be clear that doesn't actually signal that you have to use a .4 with a .4. I'm talking about a patch. You just want to use the latest cluster autoscaler that you can in your operational environment with any equivalent Kubernetes at the same minor version.
Yes.
So folks aren't aware, Kubernetes they're not going to release any API changes or features as part of a patch release. And from a practical standpoint, the kinds of fixes that tend to go in Kubernetes are very unlikely to actually affect cluster autoscaler. But there are times when it will affect cluster autoscaler. And so to avoid sort of having to overthink and spend like 2 or 3 hours deep diving through the commit history of every set of Kubernetes releases, let's just cut those patch releases. And then for the times when there is actually intersection between, let's say, a bug fix in the kube scheduler library, cluster autoscaler can just easily consume those and get that fix for its runtime.
Sounds good. I'll try to review it probably tomorrow.
Yeah, cool. Today's kept free, so everything will happen tomorrow, other than keps.
Yeah. Right. Is that it for this one?
I think that's it. Yeah, thanks.
So that's it for the agenda. Do we have anything else from the call? Okay, I can maybe bring up one thing then. So Martina has raised the cap about adding a condition to a pod, explaining if scale up is happening for it or if it's not. So that was proposed very late in the cap cycle. It won't make it into 135. And I was wondering if there is any reason to, if we get this aligned on and approved in like the next month, let's say, is there any reason to delay the actual implementation until the actual next like cap cycle and the implementation cycle in Kubernetes? Given that like these are only changes in CA or like in autoscalers and they are on a separate release cadence from Kubernetes, I was wondering if there's any reason to sort of block this implementation if we have the approval. Lemiko?
I think as long as you put it behind like a flag or a feature gate or something, I don't see why it would. We could implement it and then at least test with it or not. And
That's what I figured. Yeah.
yeah,
I was maybe wondering if because it's technically a cap, right? So there's the PRR part. Probably the biggest challenge would be finding an approver for that one, like out of cycle, but that sounds doable.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the main thing is like when we're working on these kind of features, being able to put them behind a feature gate or something makes it much.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah.
in any case, it would be behind the feature gate, like one way or the other.
Like to me, that makes a lot of sense. Then even if the cap changes during the review process, we can still change the code behind the feature gate and everything. So yeah, that makes sense to me.
Jack?
Yeah, I assume that the actual Kubernetes cap is there to sort of officially publish this well-known pod condition, but we can
Yes,
actually do
because-
the work. Yeah, we can do it in a non-well-known way in advance and have better informed sort of opinions about what the well-known new conditions that we propose to standardize are. So that would
Yeah,
make sense. I mean, maybe we do
that's
a small AEP just as an exercise in cluster autoscaler that defines how we're gonna
like
declare
I
these
would
new
want
pod
to
conditions.
I would want to actually like, continue with the cap review and sort of get it approved 3 months before it has to be.
Yeah.
So that like everything's ready, and then once we can just include it in the next cycle because it's already approved and implemented. So unless anybody like, I'll ask around on like the formal side too, but that sounds doable because it doesn't really make sense to block this work for the next 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
You better take
Anything
your
else?
dog for a walk after this too. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. He is pissed. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you then. See you all next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, Cuba.
Later, brother.